Let's talk about old Derek Carr. I heard the news today is that Derek Carr was going to be released by the Oakland Raiders, not the Las Vegas Raiders, excuse me. And it really doesn't surprise me at any of this. Is that I have been open to the idea of Derek Carr for a year or two deal with drafting a quarterback in the first round this year, or maybe even the Hooker guy, and then Hooker in the second round, and having a plan of replacement where if he gets hurt, that you're bringing the young buck. But Derek Carr was if they did not release him, he was going to go 40 million guaranteed against their cap this year. The reason they benched him was not because ultimately they thought that they had a better chance of winning without him, but they were worried he actually would get, if he got hurt, then they would kick in all this money and his contract would kick in. So if he like broke his leg on their watch, they would have to pay all this shit anyway.
Right.
I thought oh man, let's give a fifth or something up for this, but he was going to be paid $32 million guaranteed. Like next year, he would cost any team that traded for him $32 million at the minimum and a draft pick. So Derek Carr has had the ending with the Raiders has not been pleasant for any party involved. You can watch former Carolina Panther David Carr talk about this and very publicly on Twitter. I mean, Carr's going to make some money. He's going to make right here. I think he's going to get like 20 or something of this number. I wonder what he got. He's going to get the rest of his guaranteed money. And now he gets to sign a free agent contract.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how cheap he would actually be, period.
Wouldn't be.
Like, even if he took a good deal, right? A 1-year deal that was a friendly number for the Carolina Panthers. That would probably be $25 million.
Yeah.
But I'm interested
in a friendly deal.
So I'm interested to hear why CK thinks he would be expensive. But I do want to commend Derek Carr a little bit first. Because to me, this kind of says to me that he understands how much money that he would have costed, and it got to kill two birds with one stone. He got to say a big "fu" to the organization that was letting him go by saying, "Hey, I'm not going to waive my no trade clause for any of the teams that you would trade me to. Right. You're going to have to cut me." Basically, forcing the Raiders' hands to do this, and also it's to the benefit of whatever team signs him, because now that team isn't having to give up so much money and draft picks to be able to go and get him. So kudos to Derek Carr. CK, why do you think he's going to be expensive? And what do you think the length of the contract would even be for Derek Carr?
I don't think he goes for anything less than 3 years. And that's not a long-term contract, but in the eyes of what we're trying to do here in Carolina, that's not a feasible, way to do that. Derek Carr is not going to take a giant pay cut. The reality is he's getting a pay cut. Yes, he's got some guaranteed money. He's going to look at the fact that he waived his no trade clause as an asset for any team that he picks up, because he's going to save them not only money, but he saved them draft picks. So he's not going to take that much of a discount like people think he is. He's going to get paid like a top 15 quarterback in the league. Like, that's just the reality of it. Do I think he's up there? I think he's an average, slightly above average quarterback. Certainly better than anything we've seen in the past. But he's not an elite quarterback in this league from what we've seen, outside of maybe one good year, and that was it. And that's with every possible piece you could have around him. Like Darren Waller, you had Josh Jacobs, you had Devontae Adams, you had Hunter Renfrow. Like, the dude was not starving for weapons. So the idea that this dude wasn't given an opportunity is absolute lunacy. I'm not willing to put the money that he's going to be garnering. And the Saints, somebody's going to pay it, because there's so many quarterback hungry teams that are looking for somebody to fill that role.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you there, CK. As far as your judgment of Derek Carr, well, I think he's a above average quarterback. I don't think he's an elite quarterback. I think he's a guy you can put the right talent around him and maybe make it work if you have the right coaching. When I was looking at his
And
stats,
like the coaches we got.
yeah, exactly. Well, I was looking at his stats, and he's never had a season with less than 3,200 passing yards. He's never had one with more than 43. He's never thrown for less than 20 touchdowns. He's never thrown for more than 30, or like 33, I think was his highest. He's never thrown for less than like 7 or 8 interceptions, and he's never thrown more than 15. So he's right there. You know, his completion percentage is 68%, 65%, something like that. So I mean, he's that guy. I think that if in the right situation, you could work with him. But I don't know if he's a guy you want to build a franchise around.
No, totally don't want to build it. This is funny. The why Big Jordan said straight garbage.
Garbage.
I think this is the only thing is like if whatever young quarterback you're gonna get next year, whether they're starting or not, they're probably gonna have a limited ceiling, you would guess, for just that season.
Sure.
You could still get that guy and get Carr and probably have a better season with an opportunity of grooming someone. I just think this is what did Frank Reich do with Phillip Rivers?
Yeah,
And
they went
Phillip
to the playoffs.
Rivers, who was toast, man. Phillip Rivers was less, his physical abilities at that time were far less than anywhere close to his peak. You know what I'm saying? Like, no one's looking at Carr and go, he can't throw the ball no more. Phillip Rivers had a hard time getting the ball downfield, and they still had of the best off. You know what I mean? It was Reich and Phillip Rivers were a good combo. So I think this is, let me just put it this way, is that I understand that people are hesitant about another mid-tier name, the word that no one wants to hear, bridge, right? Because we remember Teddy Bridgewater. We remember now the Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield bridge type player where nobody thinks they're the future, but you might be able to win some games with them. And this just eerily reminds you of that.
Yeah.
But the difference being is this coaching staff is far more qualified to coach players like that. Is imagine what Frank, like if that's what we did with Teddy Bridgewater and Sam Darnold, they would, does anybody think that they would do less with Teddy Bridgewater than what we did with them? No, I think we would be better. Put this coaching staff with those players better. Sam Darnold, this coaching staff with those players better.
So why not just keep Sam Darnold then?
That actually isn't the worst idea.
I mean, honestly,
hey, I was saying that, dude. I was saying that since the end.
It would be cheaper. It would be way cheaper.
It
would be way too expensive. He's going to cost $30 million.
But I think Carr's a better quarterback than Sam Darnold.
All right,
not like insanely better, but he's a better.
Sure, he's shown more consistency at his craft. He's considered above average, where Sam Darnold is considered bottom tier. And he has a lot of work to be made up. But the best case scenario for our situation right now is not to go and sign a 3-year deal for Carr. Back in the Teddy Bridgewater situation. Even if he plays reasonably well, right? We're still in a situation where we're going to have to get a quarterback to come in after him. And so, if it makes sense to go with a guy like Sam Darnold and either draft a guy or
Brissett
or
who is Brissett
Brissett is another option.
Jacoby Brissett.
Or
and by the way, can I also just say that almost as soon as the news hit that the Raiders were releasing him, the Panthers opened up as the odds-on favorite.
That is the irritating part. Let's talk about that then, is whether or not we're right or wrong in our assessment. The odds favorite, the betting community and the names. I saw another one is that it was like the Saints and the Panthers expected to be heavy.
Yeah.
Courtiers or whatever, quarters of this. But my point is the
entire NFC
all are
South
on the same page, honestly, is that Carr is an upgrade like apples to apples on a quarterback, but is the money and the belief set is not really an upgrade. It's just kind of barely. It's just lateral, if anything.
Well, look. Let's say this: if you're a Panther fan, there's no way that you're getting super excited about Derek Carr because no matter what you believe about Derek Carr, it's absolutely impossible for Panther fans to see this as anything else than the Panthers doing what they've already done the past 3 years in a row to miserable effect.
Yeah.
And the fact that Derek Carr, he just doesn't have an extensive record in the playoffs. He doesn't have he's not very mobile. The dude is an absolute statue. Yeah, I mean, he's 0-1 in the playoffs. He's a 4-time Pro Bowler. I will say, if anybody watched the Pro Bowl games this year,
he was the most skilled.
Yeah, dude, he had the highest number of points.
Cannon, dude.
He was throwing dots. And I'm going to be real with you. You know why else I think we're the number one option to land Derek Carr? They're both Christians. And I'm talking not just Christian, but Frank Reich and Derek Carr, like their entire life is about Jesus and the Lord and Christianity and stuff like that. Derek Carr has given. No, I'm telling you, man. Derek Carr has given sermons
Philip
before
Rivers too. Philip
at
Rivers
churches in Vegas. Frank Reich went to seminary here in Charlotte. Like, they're gonna bond over what they're trying to build, and they're gonna bond over the fact that they love the Lord, man. So
and they're both coming off of down years, right? They're both coming. They're on this this arc of downward trajectory, and they're hoping to have that emergence from the ashes, if you will. So I think that they could find some maybe some. I agree with Cody on that front. I don't know that the organization. I don't know that David Tepper would deal with having another quarterback that's going to be a short-term fix.
What about this?
Yeah.
And Tony already kind of alluded to it. Now, if you did sign Derek Carr, it doesn't mean that you're precluded from drafting a quarterback at 9.
You have to. You don't have a choice. You have to.
No, I don't say it's as urgent as you have to, but it's still an option
that he made in Indy. It's the mistake he made in Indy.
But they have Matt Corral. If you have Derek Carr and you have Matt Corral, and if you're able to sign PJ Walker, which, by the way, Frank Reich does have a history with PJ Walker.
Who cares?
You're not. This is all I'm saying. If they made the choice at that point that they want to use a short contract with Derek Carr to provide a buffer zone for the quarterback they draft at 9 to learn, to grow, to continue to get better, they might find that a reasonable option moving forward. The problem is you're pretty much choosing between Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, and Hendon Hooker at that point in time. Because Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, they're not going to fall to number 9.
It don't matter. We don't really have that ammunition to go up and get them anyway. Let's just be honest. Moving into 1 and 2 when other teams want to do that is probably we're the team that is not suited with cap, with pick, with all of this to really aggressively get that much higher than where we're at.
So
I tell you this, if you bring in Derek Carr and you don't get a quarterback, and you don't get the next plan, that's the failure that's a repeating of everything that's happened here prior to Reich getting here and the problems that happened with Reich in Indianapolis. The inability of him, once Luck was gone, to then they found these quarterbacks where you get the Philip Rivers, then you try to run it back, and then not happening. Then Brissett, and then Frank Reich had a swing and a miss with Carson Wentz.
Yeah,
he can't have 2 swings and misses.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so if you bring in Carr and he turns out to be just another version of Carson Wentz,
he had a swing and a miss
trade for him.
He had a swing and a miss with Carson Wentz and Matt Ryan.
There you go. Even better. A third It's a strikeout. You have to bring in any quarterback that you bring in as a bridge. You have to have a future plan. And if not, you should be just tanking. Not tanking, but you know what I'm saying? Looking for that quarterback going forward. There is no way the Carolina Panthers rinse and repeat what happened with Teddy Bridgewater. Can't do it.
Well,
If you bring in Derek Carr, you draft one of those guys, Hendon Hooker in the second, you say, this is our guy in a year.
So look, White Chocolate with the $9.99 love bomb. He's defending Derek Carr. He's saying Carr has always been consistent. He's always had consistent years. He's never had ups and downs. Whoa, my bad. Oh shit, hold up. He's never had ups and downs like Baker. He's not god awful like Darnold. Darnold has been his entire career. He had the worst defense since he came in the league. I'm assuming he meant last year. And look, to kind of play devil's advocate here, I mean, has Derek Carr had one quarterback or with the Raiders for longer than a year or two? Because I feel like has Derek Carr had a head coach with the Raiders for more than a year or two? Yeah. Who?
I mean, I think the first part of his career, I mean, it was pretty consistent.
He's been there 9 years, yeah.
And then he
yeah.
had what's his face? Gruden. He was there for at least 3, I think.
So Trey Burnett in the chat says Tony Sperano, Jack Del Rio, John Gruden, Rich Bisaccia, and 1 year with McDaniels. And he's been in the year since I think 2013, I believe. So he hasn't had a lot of consistency. I'll say this, man. I feel a lot better about Derek Carr than I did Baker Mayfield at this time last year. But I still don't feel great about it if we're going to sign him to some mega contract and commit to him being the future.
Even if it's not
of the Carolina Panthers.
Cody, even if it's not a mega contract, though, this is the thing is that we can shit all we want on Baker Mayfield and saying, but Baker Mayfield costs like $4.
Yeah.
You know, he really didn't cost the Panthers anything. He took he basically paid himself it was $5 million. The thing is that Carr is just going to get starting money. And you have this is the way it's going to work. You either pay a lot for 1 year or you pay too much for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So what he's really going to want to do is say this: if I take a 1 year deal, it's got to be, I need to hear a 3 up in there, 30 million. I'll take a 2 year deal where you pay me 25 million over 2, and maybe I walk out with 45 or 40 guaranteed. But you don't think that Derek Carr right now is going to command less than $25 million on a 1 year deal? That's
He's
a
not
lot
gonna
of
do a
money.
1 year deal.
But isn't he getting paid 32 already from?
No. Actually, I'll pull up his contract.
Yeah, I was saying he's already getting paid.
How much money is the Raiders
could go into what they could go into what he wants to ask for. Because I mean, if he's already making, I get what you're saying, but if he's looking at this and he sees the situation as maybe I can go here, make a name for myself for 1 year, and then go somewhere else because he knows we're going to draft a quarterback or we're using him as a bridge, maybe he would come in on a team friendly deal if he's getting $32 million from the Raiders. You know, come in on a $20 million 1 year deal, 25 even. I don't see why it would be impossible.
Derek Carr
and his brother played for the Panthers too, and we're doing this thing of new Panthers, old Panthers. You know, yeah. I could easily. He's the type of person that I could easily see being on the Carolina Panthers. He feels like a Carolina Panther type of player.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now. I got a poll up in the chat asking, who would you rather sign to bridge, Derek Carr, Sam Darnold? And right now it's 55% Carr and 45% Darnold.
That's honestly a bit surprising that Darnold is that high.
The chat's pulling strong for Darnold right here.
I think Darnold could do well with the offense like this. Again, he's had so many opportunities, and maybe that's to his downfall. to show what he's able to do. I don't know that that would just be unfair almost at this point to put him in a new offense and grade him based off what he does this year, even because it's just that's his entire career is just new head coach, new offensive coordinator. Like it just seems to be year over year for him.
Look, it says his contract was. I wonder just how much was accelerated here. That's a good question. We're gonna have to do some more work on this.
$40.4 million. He's gonna get paid from the Raiders next year.
No, that's if they wouldn't have cut him.
It says he has
might.
the Raiders. The Raiders would have owed him. You're right. $40.4 million guaranteed if you remain on the roster. Dead strike could be 5.6.
What's the dead cap number?
5.6 million.
So that's all they owe him is $5 more million. Then
he might take 25. Then
he might, but why would he? He doesn't need to. Look at this number. I like this. This is a little misleading. This storyline here. Michael Thomas's cap hit in 2024 would be $59 million. They would pay him, I think it's like $14 million this year or something like that, or they cut him and have to suck up all this dead money. Anyway, shame on those Saints for that voodoo magic they do.